Hello, everyone. Welcome to our monthly, what are we doing today? We're doing a membership Q&A. Of course, I know that. Just kidding. Monthly membership Q&A. Welcome, Badass Money Makers. Super excited to be here. It's been a while. It feels like it's been a while. The summer was kind of a funky time. I think I don't know, things got weird. And then I was on vacation for 2 weeks, which was incredible. But I feel like it's been such a long time. So I'm super pumped to be back here. Before I get started, we got a lot to cover today. So I've got an update for you on the membership portal. I've got awesome Biz Money questions. But before we get there, I want to make sure that you all can see and hear me. So I see we've got a few folks watching live. For those who are watching live, if you can just let me know in the comments that you can see and hear me, that would be awesome. And for everybody who's here watching, whether you're live or on the replay, I would love for you to say hi. Tell me that you're here. I always love to know who is watching us. So, and also to remember, nope, that's not the right thing. Hold on. Also to remember that right above my head, if you're on Facebook, there is a link you need to click that says, I'm going live on StreamYard. Please click this link so that I can see who you are. Because if you don't click that link, I will only be able to see your comment and won't be able to see who's saying it. And I want to know who's saying it. So let me pop in here. Make sure that, hold on. Make sure that we are actually live. Because I think we're live, but I feel like it's been a long time since I've been live. And now I'm not seeing it, which always makes me concerned. But I also, Facebook is sometimes kind of funny. So hold on, let me come over here. Let's come over here to the computer and figure it out over here. All right, fun fact, I spilled my lunch on my desk, so that's what I'm cleaning up right now. All right, let me pull this up. We'll just disorganize today. We're going to get there. We are going to get there. All right. Hello. Why is our live not showing up? I think it's because we are only broadcasting on YouTube. Okay. So you know what I'm going to do? We are only broadcasting on YouTube for some reason. I don't know why. Let me see if I can add our membership group on here. Sorry for all the folks who are watching this on YouTube and being very, very patient while I bumble through this, but I want to make sure we are on Facebook as well. Okay, we should now be good. That for some reason we were only set up for YouTube. I think it's because our Facebook link broke. Let's just make sure we're good here. All right, let me bring up our questions. As a reminder to everyone, so we do these Q&As twice a month now. This is new. We're doing them twice a month in the second and the fourth week, different times, so that if you can't make one, you can make the other, hopefully. As a reminder, you can always submit your questions to megkwheeler.com/QA. You can also bring them to the Q&A. So you can bring them live to the Q&A, but I recommend submitting them in advance so that we make sure we have time to cover them and just to give us a little bit of time to prep in case there's anything we've got to look up or research for you. So, okay, we are live in the Facebook group now. We're looking good. Just a reminder to folks, if you're watching on Facebook, right above my head, it'll say, I'm going live using StreamYard. Please click this link. That will allow me to see who you are. All right, we are rocking and rolling now. We were not doing so well before. We are doing better now. Before I dive into the questions, I have an update on the new member portal. First of all, I want to thank every single one of you for your patience as we've gotten this rolled out. This has taken so much longer than we ever thought it would. We had an original date, then we extended that, then extended. Then we told you it was almost ready because it was almost ready. And then there was a big tech glitch, which is what we've been working through the past few weeks. It didn't help that the tech glitch happened right before I went on vacation. So some of it had to get postponed, the plights of a small business, right? But we're very, very grateful for your patience. The new member portal is coming very, very soon. Our absolute drop dead goal, hey, Anne, welcome. Our absolute drop dead goal is to have this done by the end of the month, but it might even be sooner. We're doing pretty well so far. So thank you for being patient. For now, all of the membership content will continue to be in Kajabi. So you have access to everything you need. It's just in the old portal, not the new portal. All right, let's go ahead and dive into our questions. And I'm just realizing I don't have all of them up here. So hold on, let me pull this one over here. And again, for folks who are just now joining us, you can always ask questions here while I'm live. And if I have time, I will definitely answer them. If not, we'll push them to the next Q&A session. Okay, so this first question comes to us from Abigail. And Abigail asks, I want to start donating to charities in my business. How do I set this up? I love this question. When this one came in, I was so excited to see this because I donate to charities in my business. Giving back is a huge part of both my business and my personal life. So I was very, very delighted to see this. So here's the thing, or let me rephrase, how you do this depends on exactly how your business is set up. If you are a sole proprietor, meaning you don't have a legal entity set up for your business, then it doesn't really matter too much because the tax deduction that you're going to get if you qualify for one for the donation is just, you're going to take it at the personal level. So even if you pay the money, if you have a business bank account, even if you pay for it out of the business bank account, you're going to take it on your personal tax return. It doesn't really matter. That's going to be the same case if you are a single member LLC. So if you are the sole owner of an LLC, you can pay for this charitable donation out of your business bank account, but the business isn't going to deduct it on like in the business profits. You personally are going to deduct it on your tax return, and it's going to be subject to any limitations that you may have. So there are normally there are rules about how much individuals can deduct. The threshold's pretty high. It's usually 60%. It's currently 100% of your adjusted gross income because of the pandemic. Congress wanted to make charitable giving, wanted to encourage more. But basically doesn't matter if you're a sole proprietor or a single member LLC. If you are a multi-member LLC or a partnership, you can still have the business make those contributions, but keep in mind that each individual partner or owner is still going to report and deduct their portion of those donations on their own personal returns. So also keep in mind the fact that, let's say you have a partnership 50-50 and you donate $1,000 out of the business account to a charity, you are going to get to deduct $500 on your personal return and your partner will deduct $500. So make sure that you want that to be a deduction that you both get 50-50 versus if you are just doing it and want the full deduction, then you'd want to do that out of your own money, not the business money. If you are an S corporation, it's going to be the same concept where even if the business makes the donation, it's going to flow through to the owners. So the owners are going to deduct it on their personal tax return. So all of this is to say that I have no issue with you having the business actually make the donation, because a lot of times people will say, well, if the deduction only happens on my personal return, is there any purpose in having the business, pay for it? And the answer is, from a tax perspective, not really. But there are other reasons to do things beyond just taxes. So you might want the business's name to be listed as the donor. You might want to just make that a part of your process so that the money comes directly out of your profits and automatically goes to the nonprofit before it trickles down to you and then gets paid. If those reasons are true, then absolutely you can make the charitable contribution out of your business account. But from a tax perspective, it's not necessary and it doesn't really matter. The only type of entity that you would want to do it from the business, if you wanted the business to be able to get the tax deduction, is a corporation that hasn't elected S Corp status, because corporations are taxed at their own business level. And so you'd want that deduction to live there. So hopefully that answers the question there, but I love that you're doing that. I think it's great. And yeah, you've got a lot of flexibility on how you set it up. Okay, this next question comes to us from Sarah. Excuse me, my husband made really spicy queso for lunch, and anytime you make something spicy with peppers, it gets in the air and my throat clogs up. So bear with me here. So Sarah asks, am I making my Q3 tax payment from my business account or my personal account? This is a great question, Sarah. So my answer to this is actually going to be very similar as my answer to the last one, that unless you are a corporation that has not elected S Corp status, it doesn't really matter. When you are a sole proprietor, a single member LLC, a multi-member LLC, a partnership, or an S corporation, the tax liability is not a liability of the business. It's a liability of the individual owner, partner, shareholder. And because the profits of those businesses flow up, that's what we say, they flow up to the individual owner shareholder. And so they get taxed at the individual owner shareholders level. And so the tax liability on those business profits is at you, the individual shareholder level or owner level, not at the business level. So let's just say your Q3 tax payment that you owe on your income is $5,000. You can do one of two things. Again, this is assuming you're not a C corporation, not that did not elect to be an S corp. If you're a sole proprietor, LLC, partnership, or S corp, I'm talking to you. If you owe $5,000 for your Q3 tax payment, you can either have your business pay that $5,000 directly to the taxing authorities, in which case, when you put that in your accounting system, it's not a tax expense because the business cannot take a deduction for that. You're going to classify it as like owner's distribution. Or you can have the business just distribute you $5,000, also owner's distribution, and then you personally can pay it. But either way, you're paying it on behalf of you personally. All right, so Anne says, well, what a relief, repaying quarterly taxes out of either personal business. I paid these last night. Yep, nope, you did it great. You did it great. The key here, Anne, is when you go into your accounting system or your bookkeeper goes into your accounting system, make sure, this is the really big important part, make sure that that tax payment, if it's in your business, doesn't get classified as an expense because it's not an expense of the business. It's an owner's distribution. It's basically the business distributing money to the owner to pay that tax bill, even if the business directly pays it to the tax authority. So hopefully that makes sense. Excuse me. Again, the only exception is if you're a corporation and you are not taxed as an S corp, because in that case, the corporation pays taxes at its own level for its own profits and would need to make that tax payment. Okay, last question before I choke on my husband's queso, even though it's incredible. It tastes really good. This one comes, I don't have a name on this one. So I don't know who asked this, but this question is, what should I do if I can't pay the full amount I owe for Q3? A lot of Q3 questions here, and I get it. We are recording this for those watching on the replay the day after Q3 payments were due. So look, the Q3, let me back up a second. The reason we make estimated tax payments is because we expect to owe at least $1,000 or more when we file our tax returns in April, okay? So the idea of making these quarterly payments is to pay in the taxes that you owe as you're earning those profits. That's what the IRS requires. The goal is to pay in enough every quarter so that you don't incur penalties when you file your tax return. The downside then, of course, if you cannot pay, is that you might incur penalties and interest when you file your tax return if you have a balance outstanding. So if you can't pay the full amount for Q3, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're still going to owe the money, in Q4 or when we file your tax return, and you might incur interest and penalties on that amount. Now, I will tell you, the interest and penalties, excuse me, on the underpayment doesn't tend to be that huge of a number. I mean, it gets bigger, obviously, the more you have underpaid, but it doesn't tend to be, life-changing. So I wouldn't stress that much. The other thing I would say is it's important, even if you can't pay the full amount, to pay as much as you can, because those interests and penalties are imposed on the amount that was underpaid, not paid. And so the smaller you can get that amount, the less interest and penalties you're going to pay. So if you owe $5,000, to use our example from the last question, and you can only pay $2,500, pay $2,500. And at least you're now reducing your potential interest and penalties in half. The other thing two other things I want to say. The first one is when you get to Q4, let's say maybe you've got a little bit more cash in the bank. If you can true up Q3, meaning, okay, you didn't pay the full amount in Q3, but you can pay that amount plus what you owe in Q4, then you may be able to avoid interest and penalties by doing that. Yes, it's a little bit late. It all depends on what you ultimately owe when you file your tax return in April, but you may be able to get out of the interest and penalties by paying what you owe in Q4. The other thing I want to say about this is look to the safe harbor. So you may recall that there is the federal government and pretty much every state that I'm aware of has a safe harbor rule. Typically, so the federal government's rule, most states follow this, some states are different, says that as long as you pay in 90% of your current year estimated tax or 100% of your prior year tax liability amount, then you will not incur interest and penalties if you are underpaid when you file in April. So you can pay the safe harbor amount if it's less, and still get out of those interest and penalties. Now, you're still going to owe what you owe in April. You're still going to have to pay your true tax liability, but at least you don't have those interest and penalties. And one caveat to that safe harbor rule, it's 100% of prior year. So it's the lesser of current year tax liability or 100% of prior year, unless your adjusted gross income is $150,000 or more, and then it's 110% of prior year. So just keep that in mind. But for folks who are clients of ours, we do those quarterly calculations for you. We give you both of those numbers, the estimate and the safe harbor. So long story short, pay as much as you can. Look to the safe harbor. If you don't know what that number is, go figure out what that number is, and then at least try to pay that in. But pay as much as you can. And then long term, look at setting up a bank account or a reserve to put money aside as you get money in, so that you don't have this situation happen the next time you owe something for a quarterly tax payment and you don't have enough cash to cover it. Cool. All right. That is everything I have for questions. I will give it a couple of minutes because I know we've got a bunch of folks watching live, a few folks over here on Facebook. I see some on YouTube. So I'm going to give it just a few seconds so that folks can get their questions in if people do have questions. As a reminder, you can always submit your questions by going to megkwheeler.com/QA. We are doing these Q&A sessions twice a month now. So the second and the fourth week, typically. September is a little funky, I think, because of the Labor Day holiday, but second and fourth week. We do have a membership calendar. I don't think we have a good link for this yet. We don't have like a pretty link for this yet, but I will make sure that we get a pretty link added into or link it in the membership area in the Facebook group to show you when these Q&A sessions are, so that you can attend them in the future if you'd like. They're always available. The replays are always available on the member portal. They're always available in the Facebook group. They're always available on the private members only YouTube channel. And some of you I know this is coming. We are also rolling out our private members only podcast feed with audio versions of all of our Q&As and our workshops and everything. So you will get access to that as soon as we get that up and running. And you can listen to the Q&As there as well. We can't do the lives there. So if you want to come live, you've got to come to Facebook or YouTube. But otherwise we're good. Okay, hold on. Question. Anne's got a question. So if you could wave your magic wand and have us do something better in our businesses, what would that be? Any particular mistakes you see over and over again? I love this question. It depends on the level that folks are at. And so I would say, Anne, where you are at in your business. So folks who've got kind of a business established, you've got a lot of you've got an accounting system, you've got bank accounts, you've got a bookkeeper, you've kind of got all that stuff in order. I would say the things that I want to see you doing, not you, Anne, personally necessarily, but folks who are at your level, is number one, making sure that your accounting systems and your numbers and your financial systems are up to date and are running well. So this means having a good accounting system. It means having someone update it regularly, if that's a bookkeeper or someone else. It means making sure you've got like good invoicing systems and everything's kind of running smoothly, because here's why that matters to me. Two reasons. Number one, if I'm going to help you with tax planning, I need to know your numbers and I need to be able to pop in and see them. And we need to be able to trust the data and rely on that information to make good business decisions. And number two is because as you grow and scale, that tends to happen pretty quickly. And if you don't have good systems in place, it's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse as you get bigger. For folks who are newer, it's some of those things that I mentioned. It's making sure you have all the foundations set up, like the separate bank account, the accounting system for your business, that you're doing money meetings on a regular basis where you're checking in with your numbers to start getting familiar with them. Basically, it's not avoiding the numbers. And then the last thing I would say for anyone at any level is having a really good tax plan. And when I say tax plan, I mean, what is your plan to make sure that your tax returns are getting done timely, that you're getting the tax advice you need? Now, if you're brand new, if you're just starting out, if you're still trying to establish your business, this might mean DIYing your taxes, which as a member of this membership, you get to come to our tax days where you get to DIY your taxes, but we're there to answer questions. If you're a bit more established, it means hiring an experienced tax preparer. Spoiler alert, we do that. So you can always reach out to us. We do have spots for that. I'll go ahead and put the link up here. which is very simple and easy to remember, megkwheeler.com/tax. But it's having someone on your team who knows what they're doing, who understands the tax laws, and who's keeping an eye on everything that's changing. In fact, I was just having a conversation this morning, with my husband about the current bill sitting in Congress, and one of the components of it is a $12,500 tax credit for electric vehicles. That's the kind of thing that's good to know. You might want to do some planning around that if we think the bill is going to go through. So having somebody in your court who understands that stuff and who is staying on top of it is one of the best things you can do. So, Anne, thank you for that question. That was a great question. All right, I'm going to give it just another few seconds in case anyone else has other questions. As a reminder, we do these twice a month. Next week, let me pull my calendar. Next week, we are doing our money meeting session. So this is the new thing we started last month in the membership. Once a month, the third week of every month, we will do a money meeting session. Now, that's the one that's not going to be on Facebook or YouTube. It's going to be on Zoom. So it's one where you actually show up and we all participate. But the idea behind those money meeting sessions, and I'm just looking for the date, is that the first few minutes I'll talk about like what a money meeting is, some tips and tricks, some things to look out for. And then you'll spend about 45 minutes or so on the Zoom with everybody going through your numbers, pulling up your P&L, your profit and loss report, looking at where your numbers are at, reconciling if you do your own bookkeeping, just doing some of those money tasks that we often put aside. What's great about it is you have other people on the call who are doing this stuff too, so it's not as lonely, and I'm there the whole time to answer your questions. So don't forget to show up for that if that's an area where you need help. That's going to be next Thursday, September 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern. And again, it's on Zoom currently. So we'll send out the link. But I think we also have the link in the membership portal. So, but check your email. We'll send you an email with that. So, okay, I don't see any other questions. I'm going to wrap it up there. Hope everybody is having an awesome week. And I will see you all. Okay, good. And all right, who is that on Facebook? Click the link above my head so I can see who you are. That's Anna. Perfect, Anna. Anna, next week is money meetings. It was super helpful. And actually, to this point, for folks who are liking the money meetings, this will be our second one. We've talked about doing more per month. So we talked about maybe doing 2 a month. So if you like them, show up to them and keep telling us you like them. And if we get the sense that there's enough people that are interested, we'll move to 2 a month. Anna, yep, I got you. I went on my phone and looked. Gotta click the link above my head so I can see who you are. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I don't see any other questions. Hope everybody has a fabulous week. I will see you all next week at our money meeting session. Bye.